Coming up right now on Up at Noon Live, my good pal Adam Sessler is joining us, and he's going to be talking about Friday the 13th, the game, as well as some pancakes. Really scary pancakes. No, really, that's what we're doing. Right now on Up at Noon. Hey!
It's a live band.
Yeah, there's a...
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of right under the desk.
They're just kind of small.
bunch of weird horns. Hey everybody, welcome to Up at Noon Live. I'm Max Scoville, that's Brian Altano, and this is Adam Sessler.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Yes, I thought it was Leslie Stahl.
We have captured Adam Sessler with our large nets, and we have dragged him to our studio.
We did. We really wanted to make, this looks like a way before and then an after, and then like things get way better. Like things are just incredible. If you go down the road here.
Yeah,
right.
Like, I'm darkest night. And that's the dawn right there.
This is like those hear no evil, speak no evil monkeys, but it's with some kind of hair use. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll be the blind one.
Yeah.
I'll be the...
Yeah. Anyway, what are we doing? What, like,
You screwed that up.
Well, I screwed up.
We had one thing we had to do. It was just the monkey thing that you brought up earlier.
So yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today. There's a lot of news, a lot of fun stuff. First of all, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Yak Hats.
That's right.
They're hats for your yak.
A lot of people don't know this, but the yaks in the wintertime, they get real cold up there. So you just got to put a fun team hat up there. It doesn't even have to be a real team. They actually can't read. So they don't know any. They're idiot animals. A lot of people don't know that. They fall off of rocks all the time. So, but they do get cold on the head, so put a hat on top of it. And very much thank you for the fake money you gave us, fake sponsor.
I think the people know that yaks are stupid. People are not stupid though, and you guys all know that you can be watching Up at Noon Live on IGN, on YouTube, on Twitch, on PS4, on Xbox One, and on Roku, and probably on some other stuff that I didn't list there. You can also tweet your questions with the Up at Noon hashtag, and you can chat with us in whatever the thing is that you're watching us on, probably. So if you want to ask questions to the Sess, if you want to address the Sess directly, if you want to undress the Sess with your eyes, you can do all those things.
Don't do that.
Using the future of computers.
I actually
which is
did
called
the
phones.
undress the sass last night. I thought I should put on fresh clothes for
I would
you.
hope you do that.
And
every
that was
night.
it was just kind of heartbreaking. It was just like, oh.
Are you usually like a never nude?
Well, no, but it's just if the lights are off, it's better. But it's like it's when you're soul size like that. It's just really tough.
How often do you pull that on your wife? Like you're like, well, honey, it's time to undress the Sess, and you just like take off your robe or whatever it is you wear around the house.
She has that name too, though, right?
Yeah, but she's. Well, one of the poor things about the
creepier.
wife is like I'll go to say like E3 or Comic-Con like that, and I get used over the years to people going Adam Sessler. Well, she's not accustomed to that, so she can't go with me to these conventions because she's attuned to kind of her husband's name, and it's this constant kind of rat-a-tat staccato distraction that's happening.
Yeah, that's tough. It's hard to be famous.
Yeah, cry for me.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you doing here? What are you? How dare you come
I am
in here?
promoting so many things.
Yeah, what do you got? What do you got to tell us
Actually, two
about?
things, and they're both horror related. So the first is Friday the 13th, the game. This was a game that used to be Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp, asymmetric multiplayer. One person plays the killer. There are 7 counselors. The counselors try to make it through the night.
Right.
The killer tries to kill them all. Obviously, that game was implying a very famous movie franchise, right up to that line
And that was,
of
course,
legality.
the Summer Camp Massacre.
Exactly. And so it was implying Friday the 13th. Now, at that time, they had actually taken on the services of the famous and wonderful Tom Savini, the makeup artist who worked on Friday the 13th and, of course, Dawn of the Dead and many other movies. Kane Hodder, who played Jason in 7, 8, 9, and X, and as well as Harry Manfredi, I hope I pronounced it right, who did a lot of the iconic music. As a result of that, Sean S. Cunningham, who is the director of the first Friday the 13th movie, as well as the owner of the license, got wind of the game and said, that's what I've been waiting to give this license to, and has given it to the team for free.
That's so cool.
I know, it's a great story.
They auditioned for the rights to make the game, pretty much. Like
I mean, they never thought they were going to get
Yeah.
it. This is kind of like that Mark Wahlberg movie where the guy gets to actually be a frontman for Judas Priest because he was part of a Judas Priest front band.
Entourage.
Was that it?
No.
Yeah, I
That
have
was
no idea.
Transformers Fall, Age of
That's
That's
gotta
a
be
really
it.
cool sort of outcome for a scenario
Yeah,
that could have ended terribly, right?
know.
This could have just been like 7 years of lawsuits, and instead it was like, no, let's make this happen.
Exactly. And so that's why we have a Kickstarter that's going on right now, because they were funded for the game that was to be summer camp.
Yeah.
When you're taking on a license of the significance and the love, of Friday the 13th, there's obviously they need to create Crystal Lake, they have to create the Jason character. It's going to require more money to serve the fans, and that's the one thing is that this is, myself included, I'm working with them. We love this franchise and horror movies so much that we want to do this as right as we can, as we can.
Like, elephant in the room here, like Friday the 13th is a franchise older than a lot of people. It's an adult man of a franchise. It should be able to pay for its own video games at this point. Like, why Kickstarter?
Why Kickstarter? Well, because they were given the license for free. This is a very small indie team.
Right.
They were given the license for free, and there was no money that came with it. Another thing is, if you talk to, they want to make sure they do it right. Friday the 13th is a violent movie. There's certain expectations that come with that. And if you went a more traditional publisher route, then you may have to be sort of serving the needs to maybe not have the game be what you really want it to be.
AKA tone
violence,
it down.
Yeah, tone it down, nudity, things like that. I mean, we're so particular about the vision that we want to at least try to do this through crowdfunding so we can give the game to the audience, which is the one that we have in our heads, and I think they have in their heads as well.
Right.
So, a lot of people are comparing this to Evolve.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Well, it's asymmetric multiplayer.
Right.
And so in that regard, it's probably not just like Evolve, it's like Spies versus Mercs, or let's not talk about the multiplayer in Aliens versus Predator 2. Great idea, but not great execution.
Scariest game of all time.
Here's the thing that got me so excited when I heard about the game, is you do not necessarily resolve a match through conflict. Jason, yes, you want to kill all the counselors, but if you're a counselor, you are not supposed to kill Jason. You can, it will be incredibly hard, it will probably require you and other players.
Yeah.
Your job is to escape, make it through the night. And you can do that alone, you can do that with a couple of people, or you can do it as a group. And that's the thing, is that there's a cooperative element and a very treacherous element. Because you want to find parts to maybe fix the boat. And you're going to be playing with different counselors with different skill sets. So you might have someone who's better at fixing things, and you're helping him, and two other people are trying to get that boat made up so you can just get out on the lake and escape. Problem is, the boat seats two, and there's three of you. So somewhere during the course of playing, you may actually have to get a little more selfish, because all the counselors aren't trying to make it through the night. You are trying to make it through the night. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics that are now emerging that I think make it very, very different, not just from any other asymmetric multiplayer game out there, but any multiplayer game.
So whereas Evolve was like, you're about a bunch of people who are trying to kill a monster, in this case...
And the monster's trying to kill them. And death is sort of the only resolution.
Properly asymmetrical. That was just kind of team size and control setup. This is, motivationally speaking, completely different motivations.
I mean, I call it 1v7. I really think it's 1v1v1v1v1v1v1.
Okay, so you got a little bit of DayZ in there, kind of like that. I mean, I love that.
I think that's an excellent.
Like, theoretically, that's a game about fighting zombies, but I don't think I've ever seen a video of anybody actually doing that in that game. It's mostly people taking off their clothes and doing weird dances.
So without dating you, obviously, and I'm getting up there too, but you grew up.
I'm really old.
You're very old.
Let's just say it.
He's also not single, so
that's right. I'm sorry about that. We talked about his wife earlier.
Neither am I.
We're getting in a lot of trouble on camera today. You grew up in the same era that I did, and I think, Max, you probably caught the tail end of walking into old video stores and just seeing that horror rack of just like...
And all those luscious looking, interesting, fascinating covers.
And they all had the best box arts, and you would bring it up to like your dad or your mom. I don't know what kind of situation, if you had a caretaker, like a Mrs. Doubtfire took care of you growing up. I don't know.
I was raised by a goat. All right?
And the goat's just like, bah, order whatever you want.
It just goes to the front of the video store, you saw the Twizzlers and snow caps.
But there was something magical about walking into a movie store like that and just picking up, we had this place called Video USA, and there was 2 videos for $2 for 2 days, which is they're just giving them away.
Really
what could go wrong?
And you would go in, there'd be like ghoulies, it'd be like that toilet monster, just these disgusting, wretched, horrible creatures. So you kind of grew up in that era, obviously, and that's been something I think that has been within arm's reach of what you get to do for a living, which is talk about video games.
Yeah.
So video games and horror have crossed over for a long time. But now you're now in a horror movie.
Yes.
How the hell does that work? How does that even? Did somebody watch your stuff and go, "That's a guy. That's a horror guy right there"?
Actually, it does connect to the video game industry.
Okay.
Madisonian Pictures has many people.
Let's back this up for a second. You were in a horror movie.
I'm in a horror movie called Lumberjack Man.
Right.
I think, yes, that's important to point out. I am in a horror movie
Titles
called
are good.
Lumberjack
You're
Man.
taking this from Friday the 13th. There's
Also,
kind of a roundabout way there.
it is a horror comedy.
Yeah.
As you can
Now,
probably
here's
gather.
an image from it. If it's unclear that this is a horror comedy, they put you in shorts and a wig, which is like top 2 articles of clothing that, I guess a wig isn't really clothing, but things that Adam Sessler should wear in a film.
Yeah, well, I am Doug. I am the head counselor of Good Friends Church Camp. Because they were casting for type, obviously.
Yeah.
And so we are there with all the counselors, and we don't know that there's a demon logger who has decided to kill us all. It involves Pancakes. Actually, Pancakes are very central to the entire experience. But yeah, it's a very fun movie. It's actually being made by some people who I knew through the video game industry. They work at Twisted Pixel, and they called me up and they said, "Do you want to do a horror movie?" I had one question for them: "Do I die?" They gave me an answer, and I said yes. And it sort of went from there. But
I love that there's two ways that could go, and knowing you, it's kind of well, you fear death, so you won't be in anything where you're very superstitious. Now this is a really weird movie for me to watch because in addition to my former boss Adam Sessler from TV's X-Play, it also features a couple of voice actors who were in Dragon Ball Z. Oh God, what's his name? Plays a sheriff who's the voice of Gohan in Dragon Ball Z. There's Michael Madsen, who's been in a ton of stuff. And then there's a handful...
Who's been in this room before, by the way. Oh. Very odd.
It's hard to keep him out, you know. Sometimes he just gets in. If you
leave
a window open, he'll just climb in.
Hey, once you go, Madsen, it's always with you.
Yeah, and then on top of that, there's a bunch of adult film starlets who are in the film. So it's a really... And then it's about a lumberjack, and there's Pancakes. So it's a really, really, really weird movie. It's kind of a fever dream of a movie. I'm sure a lot of people are like, man, I had the craziest dream. It's Adam Sessler was there, and there was a lumberjack and Pancakes. It's like, I was like, so there was. I'll be honest. There were some reservations here because, like, if you're like, well, I was in this weird horror comedy movie. Here, check this out. And you sent us a screener link, and I checked it out. I'm glad that it's really funny because it would be awkward to sit here with you because I like you. If I hated the movie, it would suck to be like, that was a fun time, Adam. That was great. But it's legitimately hilarious. So like, I hope everyone gets a chance to check it out.
Yes, it's going to be in some theaters. It's part of the 8 Films to Die For Festival. So if you're in Chicago, if you're in LA, if you're in Boston, if you're in Dallas, I know it's playing in those cities, but go to 8filmstodiefor.com. More importantly, it opens tomorrow, both in theaters and on VOD. So just boot up your PS4, boot up your Xbox One. It is available there. Get some friends to come over.
Yes,
because I think this is enjoyed with friends.
Drink things?
Drink
maybe?
some things. I would say drink a couple of things.
Have a cola or two.
Just a big can of blood. Just get it all over your face.
I mean, and that's the one thing. As funny as it is, it's actually shot very well. I'm still impressed when I look at it. And the effects, it was made out in Austin where they're actually, obviously Robert Rodriguez is there. You have Richard Linklater. There's a lot of talented people out there. The effects are really, really impressive. And I was there for some of it, and I still can't believe how good it looks.
It's a good time.
Film.
So speaking of live action things with cool effects, just this morning we got a brand new trailer for Fallout 4, which is a live action trailer. So you don't really see much about the game in there. Kind of a weird sort of.
I could actually hear your excitement plummeting there.
No, actually, I'm being theatrically sarcastic here.
Got it.
I actually really like live action trailers, and I feel like I'm kind of in the minority there.
Well, because they're the video game movies that will never be made, right?
Exactly. They're the video game movies that they don't screw up.
Was that from Indy 5?
Well, it looks like they're drawing heavily from Indy 5 for inspiration for this film. But no, like. I love the live action trailer that Bethesda did for Skyrim.
I was about to say, I mean, I think what's different is back in the old days when those live action trailers, it's like I felt you were hiding something.
Yeah.
That's it. You can do gameplay trailers because games just on the whole tend to look really good these days.
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't make me think there's something disingenuous about seeing something as cool as this.
Yeah,
sure.
There's that classic like Link to the Past trailer, the Japanese one where Link is like breakdancing with Ganon and stuff, and it's like
which you can't do in the game. Really, really big disappointment.
Super
no,
disappointing.
I think Adam, you're totally right in that we had this really kind of dark 7 or 8 years where you couldn't watch a video game trailer without being like, it was sort of just like getting like. What is it when you're trying to hook up with a girl on the internet and she's a liar?
Catfishing?
Catfishing. It was video game catfishing basically, where they'd be like, "Here's this hot thing you can check out," and it was like, "You're lying to me. You don't have that much money, and that's not who you are."
That's kind of the legacy of video games. Go look at those Atari 2600 cards. I mean, it's
the
like,
box covers.
Let me just tell you, Adventure promised a much different adventure than the adventure I got in Adventure.
Yeah. I mean, even like the NES box art, I was told that Mega Man was a man and not a boy.
Yeah,
He
the
was
Mega
a
Man
grown
box.
man with a pot belly and a handgun.
I think the Mega Man box art's an example of the game was way better than that box art led us to believe it would be. The box art showed everything wrong. Like Mega Man 2 got it right, but Mega Man 1 was this guy with like weird gym legs in like a canyon, and he had an orange costume on. It was like you don't get any of these things in the game.
What the hell are
that's
gym
my
legs?
fantasy right there.
Gym legs are where you go.
What are gym legs?
I actually know so
Is
little
that
about
with a
working.
G or a J? I'm actually getting completely
All right.
confused.
So we shot this out on social. How do you guys feel about live action trailers? Brian, do you have some answers for us?
Yeah, so no one has said anything yet, but I think that they're a good idea. How do you feel about that, Max?
That's how we started this segment. Oh,
Really?
I'm getting an important update here. We're going live to the Up at Noon traffic chopper. Let's take a look.
What are we doing?
Oh my God! Look at that. It looks like they're downtown, and all the cars are great. Oh wow, traffic's not even bad.
Well, I mean, they're keeping perfect spacing between the
they're
cars.
all just driving
Yeah,
around.
the city.
yeah. Or this is just a very honest police chase.
Isn't that nice? They're all just everyone's getting to work on time, and the cars are driving around. Well, back to the show.
That's right.
We have a traffic copter now. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
good.
where that's where all that Yak Hat money went.
Okay, so here's something people have been talking about a lot, which is I like that we get to talk about it. Playboy, the magazine about breasts, has decided that it's not about breasts anymore, and now it's about women who wear clothing. So
Of all the photos of every Playboy ever, this is the one we chose.
a lot of weird stuff.
This is the one.
Well, look, my head's
This one
strategically placed. We don't know what Hugh is hiding.
Like this looks like a picture. You know, when you're in, there's a mansion and there's a guy, there's a rich guy, and then there's his son underneath. Like that's what this looks like right now. That
You
looks
can
like,
actually, Adam.
that
slide
looks
over
kinda
a
like
tiny
your
bit
father.
This way.
This way?
It'll look like he's on your shoulder.
yeah, that
There.
really looks
Over-
like your
no.
father back
Oh,
there.
there.
in there, yeah.
Hi, Dad. Thanks. Oh, thanks, Huey.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's great. Is Tony Curtis nearby?
Okay, so let's.
My
let's-
son Harold Hefner is a huge disappointment.
Okay, so Playboy magazine historically has had, naked lady pinups and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of people's first exposure to naked ladies. You
Yeah.
know, it's not full-blown pornography. It's kind of sort of tasteful, and there's articles which some people like to read, and they just recently announced that hey, they're gonna put some clothes on, and a lot of people had a real big hissy fit about this, in spite of the fact that we are over 15 years, which is a teenage age, into the internet where you can find anything. You
Yeah.
can find anything you want to look at. And people are upset that a magazine that's been around since like World War II is deciding not to show boobs anymore.
Yeah, I think the really interesting thing was so recently, Max, you and I went to Santa Cruz for a good friend of our Scott Bromley for his
Oh, of course, Scott.
his what was it
Bachelor party.
So we get in the back of our friend's
Quinceañera.
car. Yeah, quinceañera. It's been a good boy this year. We get in the back of our friend's car and there's a box of Playboys there. And we open it up and we're flipping through, and I was sort of shocked. And these are like very, very old. This was like what, 60s, 70s?
70s.
And I'm flipping through.
Stuff
And
you're familiar with.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well-versed.
Exactly.
Your old stomping ground.
Yeah, Bo.
Some of your
my
early
big John
cranks.
Updike pin-up, and then, a little Farrah Fawcett right next to it.
Yep. And one of the things that really caught me off guard was just how stylish the magazine was back then, and how sort of downplayed the nudity was. There was maybe 4 or 5 pages in the entire magazine that you would see some boobs.
It was a lifestyle magazine.
It really was.
That's what it was. And I think what I find most fascinating is, well, A, that they still have a magazine.
Yeah.
I have even forgotten what those are.
Yeah.
But with Playboy, obviously, yeah, for the sex stuff, the internet kind of beats them to the punch. But in terms of the strength of a brand, like that logo on Playboy could not be like, there's Mickey Mouse. Like, is that valuable? Like in terms of something that is worldwide and recognized. What do you do when you're sitting on something that valuable, but you can't use it for what it was originally intended for?
I would actually say that the Playboy bunny logo is featured on more trucks than Mickey Mouse. It's usually on those big
Probably
mud
also
flaps
on
in the
like
back.
shoulders.
Yeah,
I think it's
shoulders.
featured.
So on a lot of tattoos.
Yeah.
On women's bodies.
I
that
actually,
probably shouldn't have them.
here's a weird Up at Noon exclusive. I had a Playboy bunny on my 13th birthday cake for some reason.
Really?
I thought rabbits were cool.
Oh, I thought you
liked-
got one for your 13th birthday, and I was like, well, this
not,
got
not in the
interesting.
cake, but like the logo. But
So a woman didn't come out of the cake. Got it.
I don't think a woman even came to the party. a 13-year-old boy. What do you want?
No, but if you look at the
out of Boba Fett.
I'm about to say that sounds like the strangest bar mitzvah ever.
So I mean, I have friends that write for Playboy now, and it's still that sort of just like, oh, the articles, But their web traffic has quadrupled over the last 2 years because of their initiative to basically start doing much smarter, more editorial-driven, feature-driven, and list-type content. And their nudity stuff has kind of always been pushed to the back end. Playboy's been safe for work on the internet for a few years now, which is like it's weird because it's the one place you would think they would double down or triple down and like, oh, this is where people are getting the porn. We better like put this.
Right,
front
they
and
know
center.
that name.
Yeah,
not like I don't even want to know what. Yeah.
Because I think a lot.
Website.
I remember like when I don't know if this website still works. I don't want to do a walkthrough for porn live on this show. But when I first started out my young endeavors in the foray of looking at nudes, I went to a website called porn.com because that was the first thing I thought to type in. But you also type in like boobs.com and butts.edu, which is an educational butt website. It's long since gone. But I think people still go in there and they type in Playboy.com, right? And they kind of hope it happens. But I don't know if that's really part of the vernacular anymore. The way we saw Playboys as a kid was we either stole them from neighbors, or you found them in the woods.
Well, or there was that one guy whose parents are separated, and the way that the father was trying to show him favor was to give him access because he became the real popular kid. Even though you knew he was actually kind of creepy and you didn't want to spend that much time with him, but it was kind of worth it because the magazine, the stack of magazines was right there.
Well, there was like there was different types you could find in the wild. There was the living room garage type Pokemon. There was also the woods type. There were the river varieties where you would find just a tattered magazine,
a box of old
thrown to the side of a stream, and you're like, I'll make this work.
Yeah.
And you were hoping it was
What
stuck
we're
together
saying
for
is the woods were a magical place in Jersey when you were
So
growing
many people
up.
watching this who are like, what are they saying? What is any of this about?
The woods will always be a magical place.
There was a
in
wilderness
Jersey.
out there before everyone had smartphones, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was
I'm getting
all-
an update. We have another update from our traffic chopper. Let's go take a look at it right now. Oh, look at that.
That
There's
car
a
is doing
tourist who
real
is
good.
lost.
What is that statue there? Is that the
That's
Witcher?
the Geralt of Riviera Memorial
How did that
Monument.
car get there?
If he shoots a tow cable, he might be able to take that thing down.
He's very lost. That must be upsetting. Back to you. Thank you.
See, the problem is they basically let us do whatever we want with this show.
I'm noticing.
So they really.
Everyone with me was absent for most of this week. I'm not joking. Brian, you were here on Tuesday, and then you were sick, and then it was very upsetting.
I like it. You have free reign, and you're like, traffic copter. I can do anything carte blanche, and I'm doing a traffic copter.
Here's a piece of news that's been floating around. The Jersey Devil has been sighted.
Speaking of woods of Jersey,
in New
how do we
Jersey.
not make that segment?
Here's what it looks like.
Whoa, what is that?
That's what it looks like, apparently.
No, that looks like a dog.
That's like someone
fighting
stapled a wing to a goat, but it's not a real goat.
World's most realistic piñatas. Full story at 11. So this showed up in a New Jersey newspaper. Also, I love that New Jersey has like Bigfoot. Bigfoot wanders around. You can live in like a whole bunch of states. You can live in Canada. You can be like, yeah, Bigfoot's from here, and then you sell dumb mugs that say like "Gone Squatchin" or something.
Yeah. No,
New Jersey is like.
We had a newspaper in New Jersey called The Record, and it was actually in the movie Coneheads. And it was like they were really happy about it because they're like, hey, we're in this movie now. And it's like, why would that legitimize your newspaper? It's about cone-headed aliens that come and blow up people with fireworks.
You're card the record, so like your modesty about your integrity is not exactly evident.
Brian, you are from New Jersey.
What tipped you off?
The smell mostly. What is the story?
Well, I don't have to pump my own gas. So.
What's the story about? Okay, fair enough. Does the Jersey Devil do it? What is the Jersey Devil? Like, tell us.
So,
there's an X-Files episode. But
yeah, so the Jersey Devil is this weird lore thing that started a couple hundred years ago, where people swore. Now, basically, for a while, 70% of New Jersey was covered in like farts and swamps, and they just started building like amusement parks and bars and John Gotti's family's homes, all around these swamps, and they suppressed this creature that apparently popped up when kids would find it. This was before television, just lore, old stories, and people describe them differently. But it was always this like kind of like 3.5 foot tall, kind of Wicket the Ewok-sized monster with fur legs, and I guess the top half was devilish. But
Okay, but see, that's why I'm lost. When you add that much fur, no one I think goes to devil.
yeah.
I think they go to malevolent llama or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing was that he walked upright and he had hoof feet, which were probably really sucked for swamps because you're just clomping, getting those old horse legs.
Did he have a pan loot? This is Jersey we're talking about, right?
Yes. So what happened was, instead of being like, we should shoot this thing or we should be terrified of it forever, a team in New Jersey called the New Jersey Devils that had a name before that I forget. I should know this. They were like, let's embrace this and let's make the devil our mascot. But instead of going with like the hairy sort of like half Ewok, half Satan thing, they went full Lucifer. And they were like, we're gonna have this 6.5 foot tall devil that just hangs out in the crowds of our games. So it'll be like, you know, they're playing San Jose or whatever, somebody scores a goal and they make all these air horn noises and they play Whoomp There It Is for 35 minutes. And then it cuts to the shot in the crowd where there's just a guy and he's just like,
Yeah.
and he's got this fire hockey stick and
That's
everything.
what I love about hockey is that like, if it wasn't already like a crazy enough sport with men with like armor and knives and sticks and knives in their feet and like it's dangerous.
Where
these
Canadians
fights,
can legally
Yeah.
knock each other's faces out
Yeah.
and then come back the next period and be like, it's okay,
and how much
man,
you get
I'm
paid is
fine.
based on how few teeth you have.
Yeah.
The mascots are also terrifying. They're like, yeah, it's the Sharks. It's the Devils. It's like it's the Hartford had the Whalers, which
Yeah.
were like.
The Whalers?
And if you're
Yeah.
like if you live in Hartford,
Whalers.
and you
Are
were
they
the whaling,
Norwegian?
Wait, yeah, that's like I don't think that's a thing you could do anymore, by the way, because it's I feel like I mean PETA gets mad at video games, but there was a bunch of guys that looked like whalers.
Like, more insane than that is like Connecticut is along the Long Island Sound. It's not even on the ocean. So if a whale goes into Long Island Sound, like it's gonna be like a really desperate guy who's like,
That's
this
right.
is my time to shine.
Yeah, do you know what LA's team used to be called? The Cop Killers. Just awful. One of the worst things you could.
The
I
LA
think it was like the
riots.
Miami Dolphin stabbers.
Yes, that's
So you're saying that
In the eye stabbers, I
I
meant.
think that as another Up at Noon exclusive, we have an even clearer shot of the Jersey Devil. Let's take a look.
See, now that's
Okay.
what I would be expecting.
all right. You know, I have a lot of problems here. First of all,
Hold on. Let me predict this. You don't drink Jägermeister anymore.
no, I gave up on that. I gave up that devil. That actually should have been the New Jersey Devil should have been a bottle of Jägermeister with legs. But I do. Which it basically was. Just put some hairy feet in the bottom of that bottle, light it on fire, and give it a couple of tramp stamps. The Yokai Watch hat covered in pizza. I'm really into that. I really like that.
What's Yokai Watch?
It's like this.
Is it a watch?
It's
Well,
really
yeah,
hard
it
to
is. There's a
explain.
watch in there.
Yeah, well, there is
So
a watch.
you know how Nintendo did Pokemon?
What a
And they're like,
weird time to explain
How about
this
these?
franchise.
Tell us about these new monsters, and they're like,
Can we take this picture off of the
Pokemon? You know, they're like, they're
Okay.
gonna correct you. They keep.
I think
doing
we know
that
what it
with
looks like now.
Yokai are effectively Japanese ghosts / demons.
Okay, we got a real clear view
That
of
look
what
like
I.
cats.
Yeah, some of them look like cats.
We can strike this.
But the whole
we can
thing
pull
is
this picture off
The
now.
whole thing about it is that
Anytime you want.
if you ask the Nintendo
Just
representative,
take the picture.
tell us about these new ghosts. They're like, they're yokai. So I want to just drive home the fact these are ghosts. These are deep. Tell us about these new Satans you're bringing to our shores. We can take the
please.
picture now.
You
and
can
it's
take the
fine.
picture. Okay, yes, you listen to him. Okay, thank you very much. So anyway,
I like how you're kind of
look, it's
looking
up again.
up
Look at
at
that
the
picture.
at the cat ghost.
yeah. Well, the thing is, when
Yeah.
you're 3.5 feet tall and you have fur legs, everything looks up to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting an update. We've got another update from our traffic cop.
How many of these
Let's
did
take
you
a look.
make?
Oh my goodness! There's a wild animal in one of the intersections. It appears to be a raccoon. Oh, what? Oh, it's just the cars are going right. Oh my God! What is going on? This is terribly upsetting. Oh,
Are those soup cans? What the hell is wrong
that's
with
downtown. Back to you.
Wait, was there a Dreamcast?
That's live footage of downtown
Dreamcast?
San
I like
Francisco.
you saw the dream. The Dreamcast is like that's
the
something
old
that fits
Sega
in this
building.
office.
But I thought Sega went down to L.A. when is this footage from?
Max, did you say that's the old Sega building?
Is this old traffic copter footage?
That's right. This is very old.
No, they've moved the.
Yak Cats didn't pay us enough.
the
We had
new,
to go raid an old TV
The
station.
new startup moved there. Okay, so
So I do like the idea that corporate offices that run video game companies are legally required to shape their buildings like the consoles that they have at the
there's
time.
that building
And there's
here where-
raccoons about a third of the size of these large corporate headquarters.
Like when the PS3 got slimmer, they had to lay off a bunch of people to fit them in the building.
I think the only major like metropolitan area that has issues with major intersections having raccoons in them is Toronto.
Yep.
Like they had that one raccoon that wouldn't go away, and the people were putting flowers on it.
Raccoons are obstinate. Like, it's just amazing. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a word comes out of your mouth and it throws me and I'm like, is this gonna be on the quiz? Like,
well, I didn't want to say like they're mean. They are, but they're also obstinate.
That's a different word than abstinent, right?
I hope so.
Because I know they're doing
But
it.
if you're good at being abstinent, you're probably obstinate.
Yeah.
Come on, honey. Nope.
Wow.
Nope. Stop being
point.
so obstinate and abstinent.
So we had some superhero news because it's the year 2015 and you can't not have that. Let's see. There's the news that Hulk is going to be in the new Thor movie. They might go on a cosmic road trip together. This morning we heard news that Fox had finally said screw it and they're handing over the Fantastic Four to Marvel and Disney. And apparently Marvel and Netflix are possibly developing a Moon Knight series. So while we could have talked about one of these things, screw it. Adam, who's your favorite superhero and why?
What's my favorite superhero? Is it fair? Because this was actually like the first comic book I got really into. I didn't get into it until I was probably about 12, 13.
Yeah.
But it was The Shadow. There used to be a radio serial that Orson Welles did.
Yeah.
Because you had those Howard Chaykin comics, right?
Right. There's Howard Chaykin did a run, then Bill Sienkiewicz did. Andy Helfer wrote the Sienkiewicz. But the first one I got was when I love this artist. His name is Kyle Baker. Just really, especially it was like 1987, 88. Dynamite actually has been republishing them, so they're available digitally and I guess physically. Is that what we call that now?
Organically, I don't know.
Organically, I think that's it.
Rustically?
Anyway, it was just nutty art and a really, really black sense of humor. Because it was the idea of taking the Shadow, the 1930s hero who kind of killed the bad guys.
Yeah.
And he comes back to New York in the mid-1980s, and all the people that are kind of working for him were kind of horrified by the fact that, like, you know, some of them are like social workers. Like, you just can't go out and kill people anymore. And
we
it's
have
really
laws.
funny. And I just thought he's a cool, superhero who.
Did you listen to the old radio programs before this? Like,
Yes,
did
actually,
you have any
when I was
exposure
a
to that?
kid. I was a very lonely kid.
Yeah.
So like 1930s radio serials were like kind of where I found my comfort.
You look like
That and I ate Necco wafers.
Wow, you look
As
like
candy.
you look like the adult version of a child who ate Necco wafers and listened to radio dramas. So I think it's really interesting you say The Shadow. We've actually, I think, talked about this before a little bit. The Shadow got a movie in like 1993.
Yeah.
I
Alec
think.
Baldwin.
Yeah, really weird.
Really hairy. Really hairy in that movie.
Really, that was not
Not a great movie.
a good movie.
Well, that was a weird time for, like, now we've got all these superhero movies that are like superhero movies. That was in the wake of.
That was
Tracy,
the
I think.
earlier. But that's
was-
like when the Spawn movie came out.
Yeah.
There were some
it was
attempts.
way before that. That was, I would say, in the wake of Batman, because Batman was the first kind of.
Right.
There was
Right.
Batman, and then we got the Rocketeer, and we got the Shadow, and we got the Mask, and, there were these kind of.
There was the Mask. What was the one with Val Kilmer in purple?
The Phantom.
Oh, the Phantom.
The
Yeah.
Phantom.
Kilmer, I
That
thought
was
that was
right
Billy-
around
that
that
was
same
Billy
time.
Zane.
Yeah, I
It
hadn't
might
thought
have
about
been
that.
Billy Zane.
But there was all this stuff that was like, hey, let's take these, like, you know what'll resonate with today's youth? Stuff from the 30s.
Yep.
Exactly.
And it was just like, what are you doing?
Was
And
it
then-
was it like a did the copyright thing just pass? I know when like a certain amount of it's like 70 years or something, stuff goes like free reign.
Yeah, except that hasn't been happening. Like, I don't think any copyright has been respected when it's supposed to retire in the past 20 years. I think also, like, having worked in television, the people at the top of studios and organizations like that, they're not really in touch with the youths.
Right.
And
I like that you
sometimes
went
some
with
really odd decision making can happen, such as, you know, hey, the Esquire channel sounds good.
That was a My Cousin Vinny use, right? I just think it's very odd that they were like, we're going to do Dick Tracy and the Phantom and the Shadow. And I was like, 12, 13 at the time being like, what?
Yeah.
All right,
it's
like,
really
this
weird
looks
'cause,
cool. I'll buy the
you know,
toys.
like
also-
12 years later, well, I guess around that
I
same time.
don't know if they were actually aimed, at a youth market. The youth market, the Avengers is for a lot of people, but obviously it appeals to teenagers. When I was growing up, there were movies that were specifically for teenagers, like War Games. Like, no one, if you were over the age of 30 and went to go see War Games, the FBI would probably put you on a watch list.
Well, now we call them the Hunger Games, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's weird because we also got like the kind of the stuff that was inspired by the Shadow and things like that. It's like Sin City,
Yeah.
the Spirit and other things that Frank Miller has done with hats. Yeah. Anyway, that's cool.
Is he still making that Batman thing again?
Sorry, say again?
Frank Miller, is he still doing like that Dark Knight thing?
Yeah.
Didn't
yeah,
he call
yeah.
it like the
he's-
Master Race? And it's like, but Mr. Miller, we're all kind of aware of what you've been doing the past 15 years.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's not the biggest secret in the world.
That wasn't the zenith of decision making, I would say.
Yeah. So
No.
I mean, I'm curious about that because Miller's he's getting old. Like he doesn't look
And
so hot these
cranky
days.
and a little questionable.
He's always been cranky. But now it's like him and God, what's the artist? I'm totally drawing a blank on the artist names. I think it's Brian Malkowitz, but he works here.
Yeah. So is the Shadow still your favorite superhero just because like you kind of grew up around
There's a
that?
lot of nostalgia. I mean, I read a ton of comic books, but other than trying to keep pace with Batman because I really like Snyder and his writing, nothing's really kind of grabbing me right now. It's a lot more kind of the crime stuff. Southern Bastards, I think, is just like one of the best comic books being written out there right now. And
I ran into you on the street in my neighborhood maybe a couple months ago, a year ago, and you were going to Isotope. Right?
Oh yeah,
comic book shop.
If you're ever in San Francisco, check out
yes.
Isotope.
Yeah,
It's
very
awesome.
cool. Go in
really
there.
cool guys work there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who owns it looks like Doctor Strange.
He is Doctor Strange. A lot of people don't know that.
Wears a zoot suit and has a cool handlebar mustache.
That's right.
But it's a PhD doctor, not a DDS or one of those other MD doctors.
Which is bad, right? To have a strange,
Good to know.
regular doctor.
Okay, so we've got something very special. The Angry Birds movie is the thing that is happening, and we've got an exclusive on the Red Band trailer. So this is what the final R-rated version is going to look like. This is not a movie for children, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look.
Not anymore.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they love.
Hey, Red, how are you? Oh, I'm.
We're gonna be working on managing our through movement.
Eagle, heron, peacock, warrior, mountain, tree, rabbit, fish, locust, king pigeon, and of course, downward.
Sometimes when I get upset, I have been known to blow. Excuse me. Party. Greetings! I am a.
What's
Unbelievable.
Not working, not working.
Oh,
Not working.
we practiced this 100 times.
Oh, man.
Give it to me. We're gonna come in again.
Yeah, so we're probably going to get an email or two about that.
Wow. There was a lot to unpack in that last scene.
Yeah.
Did he have a poster of her on the wall? Was that a... Okay.
It's from a popular magazine called Free Range. So we've got a great topic following that. What's the worst movie you've ever seen in theaters?
Wow, I like how we just have a picture of Paul Blart.
I really don't like that man.
I don't like that man either. I mean, I think he's a nice guy. Probably
Wait,
outside of
the character or Kevin James? I want to make sure that we're all in the same plane of reality right now.
Kevin James he's a great comic. He's a really great actor. I know why he's doing these movies because he probably finishes them in a weekend and makes $50 million off of each one. But no, I don't like those.
I think they just pay him in houses at this point.
That's how they pay a lot of these
Monopoly,
people.
yeah.
The worst movie I ever saw in theaters was I saw The Time Machine, which was the one they put out in.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
It was what's his face from Memento or
Pierce.
LA Confidential.
Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, so it was so bad, I didn't realize that when you leave a movie after a certain amount of time, you don't get your money back. And I think I missed that cutoff by like 2 minutes. I stormed out of the theater with my friends, and we were just like, this movie is awful. I can't, you have to give us our money back. And the guy was like this kind of shady movie theater in New York City, and the guy was like, it's been 22 minutes. You've seen
the stopwatch.
You've seen enough. It's sort of like when you're in a restaurant, you like, if you ate a third of the steak, they'd be like, it looks like you liked it enough. And you're like, all right. And I was they're like, you can go back in or you can leave. And I was like, well, I'm going to leave. I don't want to go back in, like, unless you guys.
I never thought you could get your money back, actually, because I walked out of some movies.
Yeah.
But I never realized that. I just thought, well, you know what? It's kind of my scarlet letter, and the world now knows that So, okay, let's see. I think the movie that I hated the most, where I had really high expectations, because I actually really like Michael Mann, and I actually read a positive review of the Miami Vice movie. Oh, and that was the most abominable, you feel like, most people were asleep while it was being made.
Yeah, that's a really hard, I love the original Miami Vice. I feel like that was, that movie missed a point. You can also pinpoint the moment that movie's just like, and that's when Crockett orders, I'll have a Bacardi mojito, and you're like,
no.
Shut up. No one's ever done that.
Nobody does
that.
Wouldn't get a Bacardi mojito.
There's a lot of just questionable decision making.
I think a lot of people go. I went into that movie thinking like, oh, this is going to be like a 2-hour-long rap video. That's the way it's going to be shot. That's going to be awesome. And then like about 10 minutes in, you're like, oh, this is going to be a 2-hour-long rap video.
God, I'm trying to think what the worst movie. So one of the worst movies I've seen in theaters, I'll say, was Spider-Man 3. But
I forgot about
also
that. Yeah.
probably the single best movie-going experience I've ever had.
Really?
It was the most fun because I saw it in my hometown of Sonoma, and I knew probably 80% of the people in the theater. And it was midnight opening night. Everyone was really excited about it. We had also read some good reviews for some reason, and we walked in there, and it was just like everyone kind of sits down, and we're all like really energetic. And the owner of the theater came out and was like, I'm giving away some passes. Who can tell me the first person to draw Spider-Man? I'm like, Steve Ditko. And he gives me the passes, and I was like, yeah. And everyone's like, oh, of course it was Max. He's annoying. And I was like, all right, great. The movie starts. 10 minutes in, we're all like, oh, this movie sucks. And like everyone realizes it at the same time. I forget what point it is, but we're just like, this is a bad movie. And it stopped being anybody's trying to watch the movie. We just started just cracking jokes and just heckling the movie. And but there wasn't a single person who was like, guys, can you shush? Try to enjoy the film.
Isn't that
I want the dancing scene. What did Kirsten Dunst say in this part? Hold on.
There's a man made of sand.
Okay, that's it. Okay, it is that one where Sandman cries and you're sitting there like, shouldn't that be mud?
Yeah,
and there's like mud streaks, like the mascara's coming down.
They get like they get like the boniest dude to play Venom, and it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No, I had that with the Day After Tomorrow, which was sort of like, oh, I loved Independence Day. Yeah. It was from the Independence Day guys, and they're just like, what if the Earth got covered with all the weather?
That one's pretty good.
But everyone
was he right there from the Independence Day guys?
I
He's
know.
like, well, hold on.
I know.
I hope you didn't ask for your money back on that one.
No, I stuck around for the whole thing. So my brother and I went in. I was like home for Christmas break, and my brother and I decided the same thing that happened to Max, which is about 15 minutes in, the entire movie theater had this sort of epiphany of like, oh, this is bad. But we can't leave because it's really cold outside, and we're on the East Coast, and it's the winter. So let's just stay inside and eat garbage candy and heckle the hell out of this movie. And we didn't. Everyone in there was just laughing at it and calling stuff out, and it just felt like a really live version of Mystery Science Theater, but with like 15 people in on the joke at the same time.
Well, that's how you get movies to be like enjoyable in theaters if they're really bad. We've got a few from let's see, I'm on YouTube right now. Decatron says the worst House of the Dead. Jordan Virtue says probably Jupiter Ascending. I watched that on Netflix. Holy crap, that is a bad movie.
House of the Dead?
House of the Dead. No, I use
Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter Ascending.
His name, because the House of the Dead was a movie in theaters for a minute, right?
Yeah, no, that's also one of the bad movies.
Yeah.
Apology says, worst movie in theaters? That's a tough one since I usually don't go unless it reviews well. Maybe Vantage Point. I was just talking about this movie the other day. It had Jack from Lost, and he has to stop the president from getting assassinated. But they filmed like 15 minutes of the movie, but then they filmed it from like 75 different perspectives.
Oh, yeah!
So it was like, what if you were the mailman? What if it was a cat in a wall? And it just kept cutting.
Unravel the mystery!
It was the same movie over and over. You had to keep watching it.
What's that one with Al Pacino? And I think they try to do it in real time, and his hair is like twice the size of his body.
So
and
I saw that movie.
It's the greatest thing ever because it's so horrifically awful, but hysterically funny.
And it's sort of recent too. It was totally like, it was one of those things like when Beyonce puts a Christmas album out and they're like, you owed the record label 7 albums. She's like, all right, Christmas, greatest hits, Halloween, peace, I'm out.
Was that the Pacino one with he was in with De Niro? And everyone's like,
No.
it's the first time they're together.
No,
now.
but it came out like 2 weeks later.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
there's this
yeah.
moment where like 2 abominable Pacino movies hit theaters,
Yep.
and both of them, his hair, it's like Lyle Lovett came to his house and took over his body, but only in hair form.
I remember that. He definitely owed the studio a movie and was just like, oh, we're gonna do this. And I think they'd shot it like 2 years before and shelved it, and they were just like, he's kind of big
apparently
again.
shelved it
Yeah,
in a
that's-
burying
that was
yard.
exactly what happened.
Which they did with
Now-
that Joseph Gordon-Levitt bike messenger movie, by the way. He was in Inception, and they're like, hey, this guy's gonna be big again. And they're like, put that bicycle messenger movie out.
Conversely, they also did that with Cabin in the Woods because of Thor.
That's right.
Which
That's
is
right.
good.
Which
So
was a great
every-
movie.
I'm gonna date myself. So there was a Bill Murray movie called The Razor's Edge that was not funny. It was based on a very famous World War I novel, and no one thought it was good.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters comes out, and Bill Murray is now the most powerful man in Hollywood. So later in August, Razor's Edge gets released. And that's why you don't see Bill Murray in a movie for about another 6 or 7 years.
Wow, that's crazy. Speaking of bad movies, one movie that's absolutely not bad is James Cameron's Avatar.
Oh, Avatar.
Avatar is a fine film. Don't you agree, Adam Sessler?
I mean, it is fun in so many ways. The
No,
fact
no,
that
wait.
there's a lot of blue.
There's a lot of blue. It's one of the chief
And
colors in the
That's
palette.
not even. There's a
In
lot
addition
of
to green.
blue. Wait, you got this guy in on the take, and this
I don't know,
is his argument. There's a lot of blue.
I don't know if you realize this, but historically speaking, blue is very hard to capture on camera. using
Wait, how did you?
traditional
Your
film.
segue was
James
speaking
Cameron-
of bad movies. Here's a
James
good
Cameron-
movie when it should have been speaking of bad movies.
James
This is a-
Cameron built an entire camera system to make the film Avatar. And
Yeah.
now, I have some
And-
crazy news. James Cameron's Avatar is teaming up with Cirque du Soleil to make.
You're not even
an
saying the
entire-
name Cirque du Soleil.
That's how it's spelled.
It's Cirque du Soleil, and it's honestly.
Those are the
if-
pretzel people from China, right?
Yes. If there
Oh,
was a-
that is magical.
It's not magical.
That is magical.
Okay, this is a marriage of the two words. This is like when Roseanne Barr married Tom Arnold. This is two of the worst things in the world coming together to make out.
James Cameron's
Cirque du
Avatar
Soleil,
and
that's how you say
Cirque
it.
du Soleil
It's
are
French.
teaming up
It's
to
not
make-
Cirque du Soleil.
So it's
they're
James
making-
Cameron's Cirque du Soleil's Avatar?
It's
That
called,
is so awesome.
It's called Taruk: The First Flight. It's actually a prequel to the film Avatar.
Wow.
And
That
it's-
just gave me
a
chills.
prequel,
That
good.
gave me chills. You know what else gives me chills? Michelle Rodriguez.
who shows up in that film Avatar.
Yeah.
What
It's
are
a
we
great
talking
film.
about? Why are we?
So now listen here. I've got with me a replica of one of the animals in Avatar. They're going to be.
That's the running one. That's
That
the running
trash
one.
cat that they made for that dumb movie.
This is the Thanator. It's going to be.
Such pretty wings.
It's
Such
unclear if
pretty
it's actually
wings.
going
he
to
looks
be
like
in
he looks like Sebulba
the-
if you
the-
stepped on him.
The Cirque du Soleil production is
It's
going
not
to have
how you say
large puppetry that's going to be based on the wildlife of this film. It's unclear if the Thanator is going to be there, but Taruk, as fans of the film know, is the large pterodactyl-like creature
I'm
that Jake
burping
Sully
him.
manages to tame at the end of the film.
There's no fans of the film. You were the last one. You're not even. You're half a fan. You said that you like it because it's blue. That's not even.
Blue's
No,
a great
I like
color.
blue.
What's wrong with
I
you?
like
First, you don't
blue.
like Avatar, you don't like blue?
I love blue. I don't like blue people. Now you make me sound
Sigourney
racist.
Weaver is great. Sigourney Weaver blue is better.
Sigourney
It's
Weaver
math.
blue in
It's
that movie.
math.
That movie's
This is-
blue.
I am objectively
James Cameron's
reviewing
Avatar.
Avatar right now for you.
James Cameron's Avatar coming soon to Cirque du Soleil theaters near you.
They don't have theaters for Cirque du Soleil. It's Cirque du Soleil, and you go to a place where they actually do it live, and now they'll do it, and there'll be a bunch of people dressed. Just forget it.
That's right, Brian. I'm looking forward to it too. Oh, good God, the raccoon is back and it's killed.
This is not actually. So this is an actual
Two
traffic
cars
report now.
apparently tried to swerve into the road. The raccoon is in the road. The raccoon is fine this time around.
Also,
but,
Sony and Sega merged.
That's right.
That's pretty big news.
well, I'm glad the raccoon's okay, but those people might be dead. Back to you.
The thing about Sega is that they're all about stacking consoles and shoving them into each other. So, or at least that was their thing before they were told to stop making them. Rest in peace, Dreamcast.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Adam Sessler from the computer of the internets?
Yeah, Johnny Mnemonic says, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this show with these idiots?
They're friends. Up until Robert Yang starts making games.
Oh, we're gonna get scolded.
Yeah, Apology
No,
says,
I
there
wanted
goes
to
your
go.
Twitch account.
Yeah. These are friends. They make me do the giggles, and I thought maybe we could all share in it.
Yeah,
What do you think? Is that a good answer?
that works.
No, that was
I
good.
give that answer a 5 out of 5.
Out of 5. Great. How are you guys doing? Everything good?
Yeah.
Good. It's the first time we've had the steering wheel jerked on us.
I'm glad we did that though, because here's the thing. That popsicle went all the way in before they told us to stop.
I thought it was a corn dog.
We all thought it was a corn dog too. That's the thing. That Robert Yang guy.
I don't know what that changes.
I don't know. Of all the things that, I mean, it's the crux of the game is that he's got this thing, and you can't tell what it is. Jury's out on that one.
So my theory there is that it looks like a corn dog, but it's a popsicle, but like a popsicle is like flat at the bottom. I think that it's probably harder to render something that's like flat on the bottom and round at the top than it is to just have it rounded on both ends, especially if you're going to have it kind of gradually like disappearing.
Yeah, so we're going to try to overcome a lot of those issues, with Friday the 13th game.
Good.
That's right.
Yeah.
So actually, here's a question about the Friday the 13th game. One of the big parts of that series is that teenagers are real horny. And there's going to be some kind of dirty stuff in here. If you are teaming up with teenagers, can you go and make out?
I'm not going to answer that specifically, but where the match will begin, where you really start to play it yourself, is obviously after things have gotten bad. It is, it is kind of interesting because typically wide awareness of the existence of Jason doesn't usually hit until the final reel.
Right.
That's why, it's not like if you know Jason is in the woods, you're like, I'm going to take my clothes off. That's not very logical. You're like, I'm hot, I'm going to take my clothes off.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's Jason.
Although it does happen. It does happen in some horror movies where there's that sort of, we already know the monster's here, let's have some fear sex.
Yeah, having just gone back and watched a lot of Friday the 13th movies recently, you actually don't see that happen all that frequently.
Interesting.
I want to see now more other Friday the 13th-ish movies.
Yeah.
But there's actually a slightly more logical behavior than I think our collective memories have.
I like the idea of a game where if you're being chased by a crazy man in a hockey mask and you're a sexy camp counselor, maybe the way you recharge your mana is to bathe. Or to make out.
Yeah.
Well, here.
That's why you don't make games.
What I can say confidently is obviously there are certain aspects of Friday the 13th that everyone knows about, and they will be addressed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's just keep it that way. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, that is the one that everyone wants to hear is the Alice Cooper song, "The Man Behind the Mask."
That's right.
Which is a hot jam. We got any other questions there?
No, not yet, but we still have a few minutes left
Nobody
here on the
wants
show.
to ask me a question?
If you have a question for Adam Sessler.
No, honestly, in all honesty, I think these guys have seen it before. My favorite question that I've seen when I've done this, and the live questions are there, is
I got a question.
Who's the bald guy? I've seen that live.
Well, now you have to ask that question twice today.
MX1313 says, "Is that whiskey on the table?" No, this is just coffee.
That's just coffee.
I asked him the same thing because it's just the thing is it's just a little amount of coffee, so
Well,
it really
I was
does.
sipping it on my way in, and I put it down, and it just kind of stayed.
That
Yep.
works. That's
Kind of
how
like
we
my
decorate
career.
the
It's
set.
like I showed up one day at
Yep.
a TV studio, and I'm like, oh.
I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Anthony Bulcao. It's Bulcao. He painted this Link's Awakening painting. He does tons of classic video game scenes. So go keep that guy's house alive. I don't know how money works.
Senator Garcia, not sure if that's a real senator or not. Adam, is the Lumberjack Man movie going to be on Netflix at any point, or is it?
I would assume so. I don't know how that kind of licensing deal works, but it will be available on VOD starting tomorrow. This isn't like $100 movie or something like that.
That'd be cool
to
if it
rent.
was.
Yeah, because that's
like
a great business model.
What was that app they had that was like $100 and it was just like a red dot on your phone that didn't do anything and people bought it? So whoever made that.
Yeah, we actually made a movie of quality that I unfortunately don't know what the price is. I do know that you can already pre-order it for VOD on Amazon, so that should probably give some indication.
Taro Bile asks, Adam, what was your favorite X-Play character?
I got asked this question a couple of days ago. One of them that I really like was, I didn't even play it, was Roger the Stan Lee Experience, where really it wasn't very funny at all, but it was someone playing someone who looked like Stan Lee doing stand-up, but the stand-up wasn't funny. It was just Stan Lee recounting horrible things he did to Steve Ditka.
I love your laugh following.
Was it hard to get characters like that through? I mean, that's
why we called it Roger the Stan Lee Experience. And then we were kind of explicit in the introduction, this is not Stan Lee. Although, I was a little bummed that we never got a cease and desist. It was we pushed it. We pushed it. I think in terms of characters that I played, I love playing the Hunter S. Thompson character in our Desert episode. But I think in terms of certain lines that I had, it was in the zombie episode. I am so stupid in that one. Like, there's the Adam character who can be really stupid, but this is like the stupidest of all versions, and there's a bit where I'm running through the graveyard and I fall, and it reveals that I'm running in heels.
I love that.
I was always proud of that one.
You guys had so much fun with that.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Someday I hope we can have fun. too.
Punksthetic says, and this is a tough one, Adam, will you be doing game reviews ever again? Ever?
So, I probably did my last game review March of last year.
Which game?
It was Infamous.
Infamous.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, which I didn't care for much.
Yeah.
And after that review, I left soon thereafter, and I kind of woke up one morning like, I don't have to do any more reviews. And it was like, also like there were like unicorns and like hedgehogs were like offering me like buttermilk, and there's rainbows. I mean, I have not had a single moment since I stopped reviewing games where I thought my life would be improved by giving an opinion and putting it out there on the internet.
What if somebody mugged you and they just jumped out and they're like, yo, you Adam Sessler? And you're like, oh, yes, I am. And they're like, Pro Evolution Soccer, go. And they just like hold you at gunpoint and you have to review the game.
Well, then I'd be like, it's soccer, 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. So was your issue with it? Was your issue with it sort of making a declarative statement about it, or was it putting a number on it? Because I know that's a lot of people's hang up.
I mean, what I really like to do with reviews, and look, some people appreciated this, and don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Was I liked the ideas that the game presented, be it in design things, maybe in story. And obviously there's so much of the audience, because I think we've just conditioned this, cares more about this sense of contest. If this game was better than another game.
Which is so weird, right?
And it becomes rather disheartening over time, where it's like suddenly my Twitter feed is that like my feelings were hurt with all the stuff that would happen, but it just starts to make you think like, who am I doing this for?
Yeah.
And like, this is like, I know what my opinion is. And the thing is, I still have very strong opinions about video games. I share them with friends over drinks, over dinner.
Yeah.
And it just gives me all the satisfaction I need.
You keep it to yourself now.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, also, let's just be honest. I'm working on a video game. I think people should be a little bit skeptical about the fact that I'm giving reviews for games. Yeah. So I could have sworn there was an asset.
Before we go, we've got more traffic update. One last final traffic update. Let's take a look. Oh my God! There's a reckless driver on the loose. Where is he? Oh God, he's swerving.
He's driving real. Wow, look at that sweet jump he just did.
Wait, how did that happen?
He's driving like a crazed man. He's a lunatic.
But the other drivers are so accommodating.
He's a loon.
It's amazing.
Someone needs to pull this man over right now before he hurts himself. Oh my goodness!
Man.
Oh, and he just keeps driving. He's back on the road.
This is a crazy town of
Who
soup
lets
cans
this guy
and
have a car?
raccoons.
Oh no! It's too gruesome. We can't show anymore. We cannot show anymore. It's too much. It's too much. I'd like to thank Anki Overdrive for providing our up at noon traffic copter, which is a real helicopter that has cameras on it.
Is that
not
Eye
a
in the
fake
Sky Ron?
That's right.
Looking over Game City?
Yeah.
Adam, thank you so much for coming on. This
my God, this was so much fun.
Probably my favorite hour of the week, hands
You
down.
can check out the Friday the 13th Kickstarter. That's
Yes, please
still
do.
going right
Guys,
now. And
we are probably only halfway there, but if you can donate $5, I would love you for it. If you can't, I completely understand. Just get the word out to someone who does have the $5.
That's right.
Or your rich parents.
That's right.
I really, really would appreciate it.
and of course you've got Lumberjack Man.
Lumberjack
which is hitting VOD.
In theaters and on VOD tomorrow.
Is it on everything? Is it on iTunes and Amazon and all that stuff?
I believe so. If it's VOD, it better be there.
Google
if it isn't, then
keep weird horror games alive. Keep weird horror movies alive. Keep all that stuff going forever.
Keep weird men
and
alive.
keep Adam Sessler alive.
Keep
He's the reason a lot of us are doing this. So thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Coming up next, we've got Halo 5 Guardians. They're going to be playing it. So it's Destin Legary and Jose Otero right now after this. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back next week, same time. We'll see you guys then.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.